Okay, so now Vrinihi kamam ripayan manogatam matastvam auttanapade vishankitaha varam vararo ambujanabhapadayur anantaram tvam vayam anga sushruma. Okay. My dear Dhruva Maharaj, son of Maharaj Uttanapad, we have heard that you are constantly engaged in transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known for his lotus navel. You are therefore worthy to take all benedictions from us. Who is speaking? Kuber is speaking. Um, Kuber is speaking these verses. So Kuber is very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj because he is always engaged in transcendental service. You are therefore worthy to take all benedictions from us. Please therefore ask without hesitation whatever benediction you want from me. Dhruva Maharaj, the son of King Uttanapad, was already known throughout the universe as a great devotee of the Lord, constantly thinking of his lotus feet. Such a pure, uncontaminated devotee of the Lord is worthy to have all the benedictions that can be offered by the demigods. So the demigods are also pleased when somebody becomes a devotee of the Lord. Although Dhruva Maharaj previously said that the demigods have contaminated my intelligence, he does not have to worship the demigods separately for such benedictions. Kuber is the treasurer of the demigods, and he is personally offering whatever benediction Dhruva Maharaj would like to have from him. Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur stated that for persons who engage in devotional service of the Lord, all material benedictions wait like maid servants. Bhakti stvai sthiratarat bhagwan nidishad devena phala divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate dharma artha kama gataya samaya pratiksha. Pratiksha means they are waiting. So all material benedictions wait like maid servants. Mukti Devi is just waiting at the door of the devotee to offer liberation, or more than that, at any time. So Mukti is automatically achieved if you have Bhakti. You cannot achieve Mukti without Bhakti. Mukti is a byproduct of Bhakti. To be a devotee is therefore an exalted position. Simply by rendering transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can have all the benedictions of the world without separate endeavor. So everything is, and if you have this faith that yes, Krishna, if I worship Krishna, everything will be achieved. And Krishna also looks after the comfort of his devotee. Prabhupada says like that. So Krishna says in many places in the Bhagavad Gita, I will provide whatever you lack, I will carry, I will provide what you lack, and I will preserve what you have. Tesham, what is it?
Ananyasvintam yajana paripasati tesham nityabhuktanam yogakshemam mahamya.
So Krishna will see to it. And sometimes we may not need it. So we may want it, but Krishna may not give it because it is not good for us. So we should be happy that I didn't get it. Oh, Krishna didn't want me to have it. That's good. Because if he gave me, like Sudama, he was thinking when he was going back, that Krishna did not give me any wealth because he thought if I would have gotten wealth, then I would become carried away by this wealth and my focus on devotional service would be lost. My focus on Krishna would be lost. So Krishna may not give. Sometimes he may give also because you want it desperately. But then you learn a lesson from it. That, oh, it was not good for me. So in that way also, he corrects our mentality. So ideally we should not desire sense gratification. But in conditioned state, we are all looking for sense gratification, sense enjoyment. So Krishna gives that, and then slowly one becomes frustrated by it, and then he wants only Krishna. As Dhruva Maharaj, right? He was also wanting subtle sense gratification in terms of prestige and honor. And then he was repenting. So many verses. He's saying, "Arey, I was asking for some broken glass, but I got the real diamond." So actually, our happiness lies in doing pure devotional service. So immediately we cannot become, we can become pure devotees simply by hearing and giving up our material desires, but we can't, if we don't want to give up material desires, Krishna may fulfill those material desires and then slowly and gradually make us free from material desires. Simply by rendering transcendent loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can have all the benedictions of the world without separate endeavor. Yeah, means will I become rich? Yeah, if Krishna wants you to become rich, you can become rich. Krishna wants you to have something. Lord Kuvera, so there is a prayer like without, just as a father, without waiting for the child to ask something, will give the child whatever he needs. Similarly, Prithu Maharaj's prayer, right?
Right.
Just give me whatever I need. Of course, Krishna also reciprocates with our desires. So we have to also carefully introspect and see what our desires are and what we want. So that's why we need guidance also. Because sometimes, I don't know whether this is good for me, not good for me. So we need, like Arjuna was confused. He didn't know whether I should fight, whether I should not fight, what is good for me. So then we take guidance from others, like that, from devotees, from the spiritual masters, like that, and ascertain. Okay. Lord Kuvera said to Dhruva Maharaj that he had heard that Dhruva was always in samadhi or thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord. In other words, he knew that for Dhruva Maharaj there was nothing desirable within the three material worlds. So the devotee doesn't want anything. Kuch ichha nahi. Because he knows this is all. Dhruva, he knew that Dhruva would ask for nothing but to remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord constantly. So he has only one desire. The pure devotee has only one desire. That somehow I can engage in the service of the Lord. Mama janmani janmani ishware bhavatat bhakti rahitu ki tvai. That is the only desire. He doesn't want. See, dhanam means wealth. Janam means followers, good birth. Right? That's na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim means gross sense gratification. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Kavitam, to become a good, very good orator. Kavitam, or learned scholar, so that you can have many followers. He doesn't want Kanaka Kamini Pratishtha. He doesn't want all these things. These are the three. He doesn't want this. Mahaprabhu is saying, I don't want this. I only want to serve you unconditionally, without any motive, just for your pleasure. So that's a pure devotee. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishna anushilanam bhaktiruttama. So Kuber knew. Kuber is saying that you can ask whatever you want from me. I am the treasure of the demigods, you can ask. But he knew in his heart, as Prabhupada says, that Dhruva will only ask for one thing, and that is to remember the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord constantly, because he is a pure devotee. Okay, so then, Maitreya Vacha, Saraja Rajena Varaya Chodito, Dhruvo Mahabhagavato Mahamatihi, Harau Savavre Chalitam Smitim Yaya, Taratya Ayatnena Duratyayam Tamaha. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, when thus asked to accept a benediction from Kuvera, the Yaksharaj, king of Yakshas. So Kuvera is the king of the Yakshas. When Dhruva Maharaj was asked by Kuvera, you ask whatever you want. Dhruva Maharaj, that most elevated pure devotee, who was an intelligent and thoughtful king, begged that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the person can cross, for thus a person can cross the ocean of nations very easily, although it is very difficult for others to cross. So, only by remembering the Supreme Lord, one can. Krishna says, Tasyaham sulabha partha, one who is constantly remembering me, then for him I am very, very easy to attain. Sulabh, very easy to attain. Ananya chetaha satatam, right, that verse. Ananya chetaha satatam.
यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्यां सुलभपार्था नित्ययुक्ता योगिनां युक्तस्य योगिनां.
So, Krishna is saying, for one who is constantly, remembering me, whose consciousness is fixed on me, I am very easy to attain. So he wants that.
This verse is also similar to Samashritaya Padapalaplavam Mahatpadam Punyayashu Murari Pavambudirvatsa Padam Param Padam 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 Yadvipadam Natesham. Those who have accepted the lotus feet of the Lord as their only shelter, they can cross the ocean of the material world as easily as one steps over the water contained in the hoof print of the calf. So their goal is Padam, Param Padam, which is Vaikuntha, not the material world where there is danger at every step.
And Sansara Sindhum Atidushturam Utitirshor. Yeah.
सारसिन्नमति दुष्टरमति तीर्षो नान्या प्लवो भगवता पुरुषोत्तमस्य लीला कथारसा निषेवनमन्तरेण पुंसो भवेद् विपदतु खदवार्धितस्य. And we can cross the ocean of nations by using a boat, which is the developing taste for the hearing of Harikatha.
According to the opinion of expert followers of Vedic rites, there are different types of benedictions in terms of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. These four principles are known as Chatur Vargas. Of all the Chatur Vargas, the benediction of liberation is considered to be the highest in the material world. So, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So, Moksha is considered to be the highest. To be enabled to cross over material nations is known as the highest Purushartha, or the benediction for the human being. So we should not try for anything in this material world. We should try for the highest Purushartha. Of course, Prema Pumartha Mahan, the Pancham Purushartha, is to attain love for Krishna. So we should try for that, and then automatically moksha is achieved. So we are here not to remain in the prison house, but to get out of the prison house. We have to do activities here such that after this life, Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti. Then we don't have to come back in this cycle of birth and death, because it is very painful. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a benediction which surpasses even the highest Purushartha, liberation. So whole life should be molded in such a way that we can become fully Krishna conscious and become free from all the contamination and all the material desires. So that is the whole project of this human life, is to how to become attached to Krishna and to become detached from all this contamination, all the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. So for that we have to work very hard. That is the real thing for which we should work hard. Like we do so much hard work for our career, we work so hard to make that's required sometimes, to some degree we have to. But ultimately, we should know that this is what is the highest goal. It's to purify our consciousness and become a pure devotee. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a benediction which surpasses even the highest Purushartha, liberation. He wanted the benediction. So like today is Advaita Acharya's appearance day. Days like this can be like a new life. We can say, from today, I will become very, serious about my Krishna consciousness, I will become very, I will not waste time. I will, I'll remember Krishna as much as possible. I will serve Krishna as much as possible. I'll surrender to Krishna like that. So these days, like this, can be like a new chapter in our, life. So he wanted the benediction that he might constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the highest thing. He wanted to remember Krishna always. This stage of life is called Pancham Purushartha. When a devotee comes to the platform of Pancham Purushartha, simply engaging in devotional service to the Lord, the fourth Purushartha, liberation, becomes very insignificant in his eyes. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has stated in this connection that for a devotee, liberation is a hellish condition of life, like impersonal liberation. Kaivalya narakayate tridasha akashapur pushpayate. He says, it is hellish. And going to heavenly planets is like a flower in the sky. Because it is like, it's like a castle in the air. It's temporary. It's like, Prabhupada often uses the words phantasmagoria, this illusion, this material world. The whole illusion starts with I am the body. And then we are thinking this is mine, and janasya mohayam aham mameti. And this way we spoil our human form of life. Nothing is mine, and we actually don't realize who we are. So we have to get out of this illusion by hearing Shabda. Anavriti Shabdat, Anavriti Shabdat. So, and chanting Hare Krishna and having good association like that. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has stated in this connection that for a devotee, liberation is a hellish condition of life. As for sense gratification, which is available in heavenly planets, the devotee considers it to be the will o' the wisp, having no value in life. Yogis endeavor to control the senses, but for a devotee, controlling the senses is no difficulty at all. Because he is fully engaged. When we are fully engaged in Krishna's service, then there is no difficulty in controlling the senses, because senses are occupied with Krishna. The senses are compared to serpents, but for a devotee, the serpent's poisonous teeth are broken. What verse is that? Durdante Indriya Kalasar.
Kalasarpa patli prodka damstrayate Vishwam purna sukhayate Vidhi mahindradish chakatayate Yad karunya katakshvai bhavatam Tam gauram evastum.
So even if we are not like that, we have to just engage in devotional service fully. Then slowly we will come to that kind of situation that our senses will be completely controlled. We will not aspire for any. We'll get a higher taste. We will not aspire for anything in this world. And our life will be successful. The Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has analyzed all kinds of benedictions available in this world, and is clearly stated that for a pure devotee, they are all of no significance. The high position in material world, like that of Brahma and Indra, is like a worm's. Kita. He thinks it's no better than worm's position. It's very insignificant. Dhruva Maharaj was also, everybody is aspiring to become very popular and very, like some great figure in this material world. But devotee is not aspiring to become like that, because he is satisfied with service to Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj was also a Mahabhagavata, or a first class pure devotee, and his intelligence was very great. Mahamati. So Krishna gives intelligence, and devotee becomes very sharp, and he can discriminate. Unless one is very intelligent, one cannot take to devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Jai bhaje Krishna Shei bada chatur. Naturally, anyone who is a first class devotee must be a first class intelligent person, and therefore not interested in any kind of benediction within this material world. Because they are interested in permanent things. They are not interested in temporary things. So that's intelligence. Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by the king of the kings. Krishna says that those who are after temporary things, like they worship the demigods, and they are alpame, the sham, Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatya alpamedasham. They are less intelligent because they are aspiring to get some temporary thing. Anta, which has an anta. So everything in this world, whatever you aspire for, has a finite end at some point. So Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by the king of the kings. Kubera, the treasurer of the demigods, whose only business is to supply immense riches to persons within this materialistic world, is described as king of kings because unless one is blessed by Kuber, one cannot become a king. The king of kings personally offered Dhruva Maharaj any amount of riches, but he declined to accept them. He is described therefore as Mahamati, very thoughtful or highly intellectual. Like which Kolavai Sridhar also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will give you an unrivaled kingdom. He said, I don't want it. I will give you the 8 mystic perfections. No, Mahaprabhu, this will be only a distraction for me. The 8 siddhis. If you have 8 siddhis, you can do anything. You'll become very famous. He says, no, this will only be a distraction. Like that, Mahaprabhu was tempting. Even Prahlad Maharaj was being tempted. So these are the qualities of a pure devotee. Even they are given so much, they don't want it. They are saying, no, I just want devotional service. So those are the characteristics of a pure devotee. They don't want it. Even the Lord himself is saying, you take, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. But to show the standard of the pure devotees, how they only want devotional service. They don't want anything else. Tasya pritena manasa tam davidastataha pashyato antardate sopi swapuram pratyapadyata. हमको कृष्णा से कुछ नहीं चाहिए. हमको क्या चाहिए? कृष्ण चाहिए. कृष्णा से हमको कुछ नहीं चाहिए. हमको कृष्ण चाहिए. We should ask nothing from Krishna, but we should ask Krishna himself, right? What is that phrase?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, Prabhupada also says, while chanting, we only ask for Krishna, please engage me in your service. I just want service for you.
Okay. That is the ideal standard of devotion, pure devotion. Bhagavatam says, yes, akama sarva kama va moksha kama udara. If you have some material desires, okay, you do bhakti with intensity. But then, as Dhruva Maharaj did, then you will become free from material desires, and then you'll think, yeah, these all things are not going to give me any happiness. It will be all gone one day. It's like a bubble, it will burst. So, this is all illusory happiness. Today or tomorrow, it's going to burst. That's why they don't want Swargalok and all. Yeah.
And it's also poison. So Krishna says, Krishna kahe ami baje mange vishya sukh. Amrit chhadi vish mange ei bada murkh. Ami vigyaye murkhe vishya ke nediba swacharna mritya vishya bhulaiba. So Krishna is saying that one who's doing my devotional service, at the same time he is having these desires for sense gratification. He's very foolish. He's asking for poison. But I am very intelligent. He is a foolish, but I am intelligent. I will not give him poison. Like a mother, if the child asks for poison, mother will not give. So Krishna says, I will not give him poison, but I will give him the shelter of my lotus feet. I'll make him forget all illusory material enjoyment. So that's why even if we have desires, we can go to Krishna, but he will purify our desires in the process of serving him.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So, the son of Idavid, Lord Kuber, was very pleased and happily he gave Dhruva Maharaj the benediction he wanted. And Dhruva Maharaj asked for constant remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thereafter, he disappeared from Dhruva's presence and Dhruva Maharaj returned to his capital city.
That's strange. Does Kuvera have that benediction? And Kuvera seems like a demigod. Demigods are mixed devotees.
Yeah, he's not, we can say like he's a not a pure devotee, but let's see if Prabhupada says anything. Kubera, who is known as the son of Idavida, was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj because he did not ask him for anything materially enjoyable. Kubera is one of the demigods, so one may put forward the argument. Why did Dhruva Maharaj take a benediction from a demigod? The answer is that for a Vaishnava, there is no objection to taking a benediction from a demigod if it is favorable for advancing Krishna consciousness. The gopis, for example, worship Katyayani, a demigoddess. But the only benediction they wanted from the goddess was to have Krishna as their husband. So even though maybe Kubera is a mixed devotee, but still he knows the goal, and even they are devotee to some degree. I mean, he's he's the half brother of Lord Shiva. So they know so they can say yes. I mean, they can even somebody prays. They may not be like fully pure, but that can also have effect. It looks like that. He knows the goal of life. That's why he's very happy. He may not himself be completely pure, but he knows that this is the goal of life, is to become pure devotee. So that's what it seems like here. But somebody may say, well, if he's not a pure devotee, how he can? But anybody can pray to the Supreme Lord. They don't have to be a pure devotee.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. We ask also, other devotees, please pray for me so I become a pure devotee. So the prayers of the devotees Krishna hears. So even if they are not pure devotee, they can pray for us.
Correct. So the gopis, for example, worshipped Katyayani, a demigoddess, but the only benediction, that a Vaishnava is not interested in asking any benediction from the demigods, nor is he interested in asking benedictions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is said in Bhagavatam that liberation can be offered by the Supreme Person, but even if a pure devotee is offered liberation by the Supreme Lord, he refuses to accept it. And that's the impersonal liberation or other liberation also. He just wants to serve. Dhruva Maharaj did not ask where for transference to the spiritual world, which is called liberation. He simply asked that wherever he would remain, whether in spiritual or material world, he would always remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like Prabhupada says, you are seated in my heart as the super soul. Krishna, you are seated in my heart as super soul. From you comes remembrance, forgetfulness. So wherever I go, it doesn't matter. As long as you always remind me to
chant Hare Krishna.
Chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, engage in devotional service. Then I am good. So, whatever our situation, we should only, the pure devotee only asks, wherever you want to send me, I can always remember you. Swarga varga narakeshvu apitulyar darshina narayana para sarve dakutashana bipyati Swarga varga narakeshvu apitulyar darshina. So yeah, they are depending on Narayan, the Supreme Lord. They are always thinking of the Supreme Lord, so it doesn't matter where they go. They are fearless.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would always tell everyone, right? Krishna matirastu. May your mind be always on Krishna.
That's the highest. Highest thing is to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So, and that means not just sit and remember Krishna, that is also there, but to also do practical service for Krishna in the mission of Krishna consciousness, to spread Krishna consciousness. That's very pleasing, very, very pleasing to the Lord, to relieve the Lord's anxiety. Lord is anxious about every jiva in this material world, and we cannot deliver everybody, or we are not the ones who deliver. It's Srila Prabhupada's books and Srila Prabhupada's movement and the devotees who can. We are just an instrument to please Srila Prabhupada. Where there was a nice, let me share, about what is the attitude of a preacher. Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Devotion. What should be the attitude of a preacher? How should his consciousness be? So give me a moment. Attitudes of preachers. The author of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, very humbly submits that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work. So, Srila Rupa Goswami is trying to write books and in this way spread Krishna consciousness. But he thinks I am not fit. That should be the attitude of all preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. We should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas. And simply by following in their footsteps, we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity. So we should never think that I am doing and all these things. It is just I am just doing it as a service to Srila Prabhupada, and I am just trying to please him.
Yeah, only because of his humility, Rupa Goswami was used by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an instrument, was imparted knowledge, and because he is always humble. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your humility is breaking my heart. And also when Vallabhacharya came, right, he was running away that, oh, I'm an untouchable, I'm very low. Then Vallabhacharya said, how can he be low? He is always chanting the holy name on his tongue. Right, but Rupa Goswami always considered himself the lowest.
And then he has a prayer also. Yeah.
I have no love for Krishna, nor the causes to develop love for him.
Yeah, here it says, the strong conviction that one will certainly receive the favor of Supreme Personality of Godhead is called in Sanskrit Asha Bandha. Asha Bandha means to continue to think, because I am trying my best to follow the routine principles of devotional service, I am sure that I will go back to Godhead, back to home. So we have to be trying our best. That's the key. I am trying my best. Then I can have faith that Krishna will, give me his mercy. In this connection, one prayer by Rupa Goswami is sufficient to exemplify this hopefulness. He says, I have no love for Krishna, nor for the causes of developing love for Krishna, namely hearing and chanting, and the process of bhakti yoga, by which one is always thinking of Krishna and fixing his lotus feet in his heart, is also lacking in me. So I am not qualified, but somehow or other, Krishna, I have no love for your service, devotional service. As far as philosophical knowledge or pious works are concerned, I don't see any opportunity for me to execute such activities. But above all, I am not even born of a nice family. Therefore, I must simply pray to you, Gopijan Vallabh, Krishna, maintainer and beloved of gopis. I simply wish and hope that some way or other I may be able to approach your lotus feet. And this hope is giving me pain, because I think myself quite incompetent to approach that transcendental goal of life. So the purport is that under this heading of Asha Bandha, one should continue to hope against hope that some way or other he will be able to approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So there is I want it, but I am not qualified. That creates a strain. I am not qualified, but I want it. Like materially you may want something, but you are not qualified to get it. Like you may want a job in some company, very big company, but you are not qualified. You don't have the prerequisites to have that. Materially people we hanker, right? I want this something in this world, but I'm not getting it. So I'm not, and you know that you're not qualified, but you want it badly. So that's like, so then you cry, basically. In that situation, you cry. Because you want it very desperately. Krishna, you want it, but I'm not at all qualified. So somehow or other, Krishna, can you please bestow your mercy upon me? Then you cry for the mercy of the Lord. Okay. That's all crying only going on. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all the prayers are like crying for the mercy, feeling themselves very unqualified. Although we should not say they are unqualified, they are very qualified. But They are feeling like that. Athaya jata yagnesham kratubir bhuri dakshinai dravya kriya devatanam karma karma phala pradam. As long as he remained at home, Dhruva Maharaj performed many great ceremonial sacrifices in order to please the enjoyer of all sacrifices. So he came back home, he went to kill the Yakshas, then he met Swayambhu Manu, he met Kuvera, and then he came back. And at home he was performing many sacrifices. This is Satya Yuga. So in Satya Yuga, Krite Adhyaya to Vishnu, there is meditation and other things. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prescribed ceremonial sacrifices are especially meant to please Lord Vishnu, who is the objective of all such sacrifices and who awards the resultant benediction. So even in demigod sacrifices, the first offering is given to Vishnu. So Vishnu is supposed to be the enjoyer from everything ultimately. In Bhagavad Gita 3.9 it is said, Yagna arthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. One should act or work only in order to please the Supreme Lord. So whatever we are doing, we have to question ourselves. Am I doing this for pleasing the Supreme Lord? Am I doing this activity to please the Supreme Lord? If not, then we should not do the activity. Is this activity pleasing to the Supreme Lord? Like that, like when we chant Hare Krishna, after some time we should ask, am I chanting, am I hearing the Maha Mantra? Periodically we have to check. Or after every mantra you can check. Did I hear the mantra? Did I hear this mantra? If I didn't hear it, don't move to the next bead. Chant again on the same bead. Right? Sometimes we can, so that then it will take long time to finish our rounds. We'll say, oh no, it'll take like 6 hours to finish my 16 rounds because I want to hear every word, every Maha Mantra and I'm not being attentive, so you have to repeat, right? So then you will chant, no, I cannot, I don't have 6 hours because I have to go to work, I have to do this, so let me chant it attentively. There's another way to trick the mind, So you have to be like, say, we want to do it nicely. We just not want to go through yesterday we were discussing the 6 things detrimental for devotional service. One is niyamagraha, accepting the rules but forgetting the spirit behind it. So we want to really, from our heart, we want to please Krishna. We want to be attentive. So we just don't want to do a bad job, right? In your office also, you don't do like somebody, they say, now you change the code and move it to production, and you just don't change it somehow or other and move it. Like you scrutinizingly, look at it few times and very carefully. So otherwise one becomes entangled in the resultant actions. So whatever we are doing, we should ask, is my consciousness to please Krishna every moment? And if it is not, then we should change. Like the activity we can change or the consciousness we can change. Otherwise one becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. So everything will give karma if it is not to please the Supreme Lord. According to the 4 divisions of Varna and Ashram, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are especially advised to perform great ceremonial sacrifices and to distribute their accumulated money very liberally. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are supposed to perform great ceremonies, sacrifices, and to distribute money. Dhruva Maharaj, and as a king, an ideal Kshatriya, performed many such sacrifices, giving very liberally in charity. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are supposed to earn their money and accumulate great riches. Sometimes they do it by acting sinfully. Kshatriyas are meant to rule over a country. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, in the course of ruling, had to fight and kill many yakshas. Such action is necessary for Kshatriyas. A Kshatriya should not be a coward, and he should not be non-violent. To rule over the country, he has to act violently. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are therefore especially advised to give in charity at least 50% of their accumulated wealth. In Bhagavad Gita, it is recommended that even though one enters the renounced order of life, he still cannot give up the performance of yagna, dana and tapasya. They are never to be given up. Tapasya is meant for the renounced order of life. Those who are retired from worldly activities should perform tapasya, penances and austerities. Those who are in the material world, the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, must give charity. Brahmacharis in the beginning of their life should perform different kinds of yagnas. Dhruva Maharaj, as an ideal king, practically emptied his treasury by giving charity. A king is not meant simply to realize taxes from the citizens and accumulate wealth to spend in sense gratification. World monarchy has failed ever since kings began to satisfy their personal senses with the taxes accumulated from the citizens. Of course, whether the system is monarchy or democracy, the same corruption is still going on. At the present moment, there are different parties in democratic government, but everyone is busy trying to keep his post or trying to keep his political party in power. The politicians have very little time to think of the welfare of the citizens, whom they oppress with heavy taxes in the form of income tax, sales tax, and many other tax. People sometimes have 80 to 90% of their income taken away, and these taxes are lavishly spent for the high salaries drawn by the officers and rulers. So, as Kali Yuga will progress, the one symptom is there will be heavy taxation. Formerly, the taxes accumulated from the citizens were spent for performing great sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literature. At the present moment, however, almost all forms of sacrifices are not possible. Therefore, it is recommended in the Shastras that people should perform Sankirtan Yagna. Any householder, regardless of his position, can perform this Sankirtan Yagna without expenditure. So we can't do the big sacrifices they used. The Swaha kind of sacrifice with the fire and Brahmanas chanting mantras. All the family members can sit down together and simply clap their hands and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Somehow or other, everyone can manage to perform such yagna and distribute prasad to the people in general. This is quite sufficient for this age of Kali. The Krishna consciousness movement is based on this principle. Chant the Hare Krishna Mantra at every moment, as much as possible, both inside and outside of the temples, and as far as possible distribute prasad. This process can be accelerated with the cooperation of state administrators and those who are producing the country's wealth. Simply by liberal distribution of prasad and sankirtan, the whole world can become peaceful and prosperous. So in Vrindavan and so many places, they are distributing Mayapur, they are distributing prasad to everybody who comes. So many plates, thousands and thousands of plates are distributed every day. So we can help in the distribution by giving charity like that. And also with distribution personally. Generally, in all the material sacrifices recommended in Vedic literature, they are offering to demigods. The demigod worship is especially meant for less intelligent men. Actually, the result of such sacrifice goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam. He is actually the enjoyer of all sacrifices. His name, therefore, is Yagna Purush. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a great devotee and had nothing to do with the sacrifices, to set an example to his people, he performed many sacrifices and gave all his wealth in charity. For as long as he lived as a householder, he never spent a farthing for his sense gratification. In this verse, the word karma phala pradam is very significant. The Lord awards everyone different kinds of karma as the individual entities, living entities desire. So, Krishna, man proposes, God disposes. So whatever our desires, Krishna is reciprocating with our desires. He's the super soul present within the heart of everyone. And is so kind and liberal that he gives everyone full facilities to perform whatever acts one wants. That's why he created this whole huge material world with so many planetary systems and so many different situations to fulfill the desires of the living entity. So he's so liberal that even the jivas want to become independent of him, still is providing all the facilities for enjoyment. Then the result of the action is also enjoyed by the living entity. If anyone wants to enjoy or lord it over material nature, the Lord gives him full facilities, but he becomes entangled in the resultant reactions. So that's why the intelligent person says, no, I don't want to take part in this karmic cycle. I don't want to be part of this, which will eventually give me misery. Yahi sansprashaja bhoga dukkha yona yavate adya antavantatu kanteya nateshu ramate buddha. So, similar, if anyone wants to engage himself fully in devotional service, the Lord gives him full facilities and the devotee enjoys the results. So, if we should desire, I want to fully engage in devotional service completely. And then the Lord will make arrangement. Because the Lord is reciprocating. Prabhupada is saying, whatever we want, the Lord is reciprocating. The Lord is therefore known as Karma Phala Prada. Prada is kind of giving. Karma Phal, one who gives the results of what we want. Okay, so we can see if anybody like to say anything. Any comments? Or you want to sing any song, or anybody like to speak anything?
I can sing a song. Peace.
Okay, Narottam Das Thakur song.
Yes. Garapahu na bhaji na goinu प्रेम रतन धन हेलाया हराइनु ना भजिया गइनु आधाने यतन करी धन त्यागिनु अपना कर्म दोषे आपिनी डुबैनु ना भजिया गइनु सतसंग छाडी गइनु असते विलासा ते कारणे लागिलो ये कर्म बंध फासा ना भजिया गइनु गरापहु ना भजिया गइनु विषय विषमा विषा सतत खाइनु गर कीर्तन रसे मगन न होइनु ना भजिया गइनु केनु वाछाए प्राण कि सुख पाइया नरोत्तम दास केनो नागेलो मरिया ना भजिया गइनु गरापहु ना भजिया गइनु. Translation. I did not worship Lord Gauranga Prabhu, and thus I became full of suffering. I refused to accept the treasure of pure love of Krishna, and thus I became lost. I rejected the treasure of love of Krishna and deliberately struggled to become poor. I dived into a host of sinful deeds. I rejected the association of saintly devotees and instead tried to enjoy among the impious non-devotees. In this way, I became caught in the noose of karma. I continually drank the virulent poison of sense gratification. I refused to swim in the nectar of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Why do I stay alive? What happiness do I have? Why did Narottam Das not die long ago? So Narottam Das Thakur is very pure devotee. He's from the spiritual world. He's a manjari in the spiritual world. But still, he's showing the mood of a pure devotee is, as we were discussing, Dainya Bhav. Means I don't have any love for Krishna and I have wasted my life in useless sense gratification. I have drunk the poison, as we were discussing that verse, desiring material things in this world and wasting our time in sense gratification. It's like drinking poison. It gives us so much suffering. Yehi samsparsha jabhoga. So like Amarendra Prabhu was saying, there is vish and there is vishaya. Vishaya is the sense objects and vish is poison. Poison causes you to die once, but vishaya, the sense objects, keep you away from Krishna many, many lifetimes. That's what is coming in between us and Krishna is the sense objects. So So, as Narottam Das Thakur is saying, that I have not tasted the happiness of pure devotion. So we keep our legs in both the boats, right? We want material happiness and we want spiritual happiness. But Prabhupada says sense gratification and advancement in spiritual realization go ill together. So we cannot experience the happiness of spirit, devotional service, which is susukham kartum avyayam. We cannot experience that happiness unless we give up the lower taste, right? And then we will get the higher taste.
Hmm.
So as we do devotion, right, we should do at least at that time, as we are chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we should be in pure mindset, like Krishna, like as Dhruva Maharaj is saying, I don't want anything from you, I just want your service. So at least for the time being that we are doing devotional service, we should be in pure consciousness, and that will affect the rest of our 22 hours, what we do, the 2 hours of our japa in pure consciousness, and praying for that I just want to engage in your service, and please give me taste for your bhakti. So that taste will retain us for the rest of the 22 hours. We will not desire anything, which is opposed to Krishna consciousness, which is unfavorable for our bhakti. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nice. Very nicely sung also. It's a nice song. The tune was also very nice. So, okay. Anybody like to say anything else? Okay, so I'm going